Okay, we started now, right? Guys, remember where we stopped before, right? We talk about interpreting. Okay, let me do a little bit of recapitulation. To recapitulate, to reflect your mind back so that you know what we are doing here, right? Rather than just start talking without you remembering where we stopped. Okay, guys, listen. This topic is very easy, right? It's about researching, right? Researching on your potential customers' needs and by looking at their problems, formulating problems, looking at their needs, right? Or the objectives and whatever, then doing a research by utilizing the methods that is best suited. Right. It could be via questionnaires. You could use questionnaires. You could use interviews. You could use another instrument we call observation. Right. Then you could as well do a kind of an experiment. Right. For example, like a kind of a scenario. If you change the pattern of your or the layout of your business, what is going to happen? It's a kind of an experiment, right? Those kind of stuff. You can either do through survey. This survey there, we talk about questionnaires. You can use interview one-on-one. You can even use a focus group, right? Focus group interview. Put 5 to 8 people together. You post questions to them. Then, as they are responding, you write down, you record it, as the case may be. If they allow you or permit you to record it, because that's what we call ethical dilemmas, right? Ethical. You don't have to record somebody's voice if that person hasn't authorized you to do it. You just have to be very careful. Research. I don't want to talk too much, otherwise the time will go. In doing research, sometimes it's risky, right? You can get arrested. Do you know about it? There was a lady that was conducting an academic research from UK in, I think it was Iran or Iraq, one of these Arab countries. That lady was arrested and they sentenced her to jail, right? They said she was collecting classified information. Security reason, when you know something about intelligence, you must be, then you know what I'm talking about. She was about to take a plane, fly to UK, then they got hold of her in the airport. She was arrested doing research. This thing is risky sometimes. In Zimbabwe, during the time of Mugabe, somebody was arrested for doing a research. Because when you are doing a research, what are you doing? You collecting information, right? So if those information that you are collecting is sensitive, intelligence related, they're gonna arrest you. So that is why that's what we call ethical clearance. Yeah, ethical clearance. For example, if you want to collect information or do a research that pertains to children, right? You don't just do it like that. You must first of all seek the consent. Even any other person that you want to collect information from, that's what we call consent approval. You must seek their consent first. They tell you, yes, they are prepared before you start posing questions to them. So there are a lot of stuff you need to know here. But because at your level, we are just introducing you to it. The concept is being introduced to you so that we do things of this nature, right? Moreover, your stuff here is a market survey, right, for your business. Okay, then you need to interpret and then discuss the data. When you collected the information, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit with it? When you've collected the information, right, from your potential target market or from your potential customers, what are you going to do with the information? You use it. You need to interpret it, right? You need to interpret it in such a way that it can help you to make an informed decision. You understand what I mean? So now you need to, after the how will you are gonna interpret it and come up with a report. Do you understand? You write a report. So we are going to talk about now the structure, how you need to structure the report. Like I said, your level doesn't require much of this, just for knowledge sake, right? But for people doing higher degrees, they are much more concerned about this stuff, right? You understand what I mean? Okay. This is how the research report looks like. I'm going to explain to you, right? Just for knowledge sake, right? Title page. It must have a title page, right? The title of your research. It must have a title, right? For example, now you are trying to investigate the buying pattern, right? Let's say of a certain product in Atlantis campus. Did you see? So that could be, did I switch that thing on? Is it working? Okay. So that could be the title. Do you understand what I mean? You want to know the buying pattern. You are evaluating. Hello, listen. Let me go deeper now. You are trying to evaluate the buying pattern of West Coast students in Atlantis. Right. The buying pattern. How do they spend money? You know? Or you try to look at the perception of West Coast College students regarding the payment of NSFAS. That is a very sensitive issue, right? Because I know when it comes to NSFAS here, you guys, you don't joke, right? If there's any news now in the air, they say NSFAS is going to be suspended. I think a lot of students gonna get this. You're gonna like to know what is going to happen to you now, right? Okay. But what I'm trying to establish is this: that any research that you out to do or you've gone out to do must have a title, right? So when you are presenting the report, there must be a title. In academic reports, research report, they say the title must not be more than 16 letter words, 16. But I'm not, because yes, like I said, you are just yet for just the knowledge sake. But if it is academic report, for example, I got students, when they want to start research, they first of all have to start with the proposal. They will submit to me the title and how they want to do it and all those things. They are more scrutinized. If it is more than 16, I'd prefer it back. I say it's too much. Go and streamline it, cut it down, you know. But don't worry, like I said, just know that there must be a title. What did they say here? Title and main theme of the report. Right. Okay. Then table of content. You know table of content. Hey, how many of you have seen a table of content here before? Younger, talk to me. Have you seen a table of content before? Huh? If you haven't seen, tell me. Today you wanna know what is a table of content. That is why you are here. You brace yourself early this morning, irrespective of the code, to come and sit here. At least you must get something here in your brain before you go. You know what is a table of content? Younger, this one. Oh, you know it. Yeah, you know it. You know it. With your explanation, you know it, right? Proves to me that you know it. So there must be table of content. You know, the research that I did when I was doing my master's degree, you know how many pages? 500 and something pages. Thick book like this. Yeah, thick. Even my PhD, thick book like this, was it 500 and something pages. When you look at it, you see, if I bring a copy here, copies is thick like this. The book that I wrote. It was a research report. When we talk about report, it's not something that you see 2 pages or 5 pages. Anyway, it depends, right? 500 and something pages. You know, when they are doing inquiry, all this inquiry they are doing, all this investigation, they've said you submit a report. Sometimes it can be up to 2,000 pages. A lot. You call it a report because everything must be there. But this one is a small one. It's not a lot, no? Right. So you have table of content that will detail out the different subheading, right? Different sections and page number, right? The different sections of the report and their respective page numbers will be shown in the table of content. For example, if you are looking for something now, younger, hello, look here. You say table of content in a book, right? If you are looking for something now, just go to the table of content. Oh, right. Basic financial management, page 108. Quick. If the table of content is not there, things look will seem to be disorganized. Right? It must be there. There are some cases they will tell you page 106. When you go there, it's not there. That means they didn't do their proper work. Right? Then proposal, which involves research objective and plan. Research objective is what you intend to achieve by doing the research objectives, right? And the plan here is how you intend to do it, right? But you see, this research proposal, before you do a research, then you first of all start with a proposal, right? I wonder why they are putting it here as a table of content. I don't know who wrote this book, whether you know much about research, right? Because ordinarily, this research proposal is not supposed to appear here. This research proposal will form the introduction and the background. Yeah, this one doesn't have a higher degree. I don't know where he got this. That is why he's writing it like this. It's not correct. Right. But for your sake, at your level, you take it like that. But research proposal is not supposed to appear here, right? Here is supposed to be introduction and the background, right? Before you have this. Okay, let's take it like that. The introduction, introduction. You need to introduce your report. You need to introduce your report. For example, if you are writing an essay, Jonga, in English, right? You got the introduction, right? You got the body, right? Then you got all this conclusion and all those type of stuff. True of us. If you want to write a comprehension, you know what is a comprehension? You're doing it in English, man, right? You must first of all introduce what you're trying to write about, right? Then you develop it, the body. Then, as you are going towards the end of it, there must be a conclusion. Does it make sense to you? Hello, are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. So, in the same vein, you write a report like that. Then we say subject, purpose, and research plan. This one doesn't explaining it wrongly. Then methodology. Methodology, right? Methodology is talking about how you, hello, focus, excusez-moi. Methodology is about how you collected and analyze your data. How were you able to collect your data and analyze it? Right. For example, if you utilize the instrument of solve questionnaire, then you explain it there. But there are a lot of things here, of which I'm not going to bug you here now because of your level. Because when we are talking about methodology, there's what we call the research philosophy, right? Because the research philosophy needs to be there. There's what we call quantitative, qualitative, right? We call it paradigm. You see, quantitative paradigm, we got qualitative paradigm, we got pragmatic paradigm. Let me not confuse your brain with that, right? So a lot of stuff are here, but we don't need to talk about that. What you need to know at your level now is If it is interview, the techniques that you use, if it is interview, and the questions that were asked, right? You reflect it on that methodology. Nobody gonna ask you to come and write a report, right? At your level, nobody. You see, just for knowledge sake. The interpretation and findings. So whatever your remember, you're gonna collect your data, né? Then you interpret it. Right. You do the presentation here, right? Explain. Then this one is the conclusion. Conclusion in terms of what you find out. Right. Because it's about looking for something. For example, there's a problem. You want to explore more on that problem, perhaps how to find solution to that problem. So here you say what you found out, you conclude here your findings. Then here the recommendation, what action to take based on the findings. Because when you done the research, there must be recommendation. You see, because your findings now, you've seen something. So, what next? What action can one take to improve on the status quo? You know what I mean by the status quo? The way it was, right? Now you've seen that this is how it is. There is something wrong, perhaps, but what can be done to improve on that? Recommendations. You need to recommend. Does it, because you know about it now, right? Perhaps you got the solution to it. You recommend. That is the essence of doing a research. Guys, are you happy? All right. I want you to be happy. So, using statistical information to determine the product or services, right? So, this one is a quantitative method. Quantitative. As I told you, we got qualitative and quantitative paradigm. You know, the first time I heard about that term paradigms, I look, oh, what is this big language? Right, right. Don't worry. When you are doing higher degrees, then you're gonna come across that word again, right? I know most of you here are going to do higher degrees. Eh? Then look at a question of this nature can be analyzed statistically. Why does a business need statistical information to determine which product and services are most valued? Right? Because it will help the entrepreneur to what? Understand different needs for of one and different community. Forecast says, yeah, but this one is presenting another subtopic now. Okay, we know here we are trying to explain, or this session is trying to explain why you need the statistical information, right, for your business. It will understand the different needs of one's of different community, which is obvious, right? Because if I know if I got the statistical buying pattern, right, or the consumption pattern, let me put it that way. Hello, listen to me. If I've got the consumption pattern of student of West Coast College, it can help me to be able to know what they want or what they buy most. Do you understand? If I'm able to understand what they buy most, it can inform me to know what to provide. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Right. That is what we are saying now. Understand the different needs of one of different community. Here, community I'm using the West Coast College now, right? It could be any context. Then forecast says more accurately based on statistical trend. Right. If you have those information, data, you know, with data alone, you can make money. Do you know what I'm talking about? With information, you make money. If you know the buying pattern, right? Statistical buying pattern of people in Western Cape, you become a millionaire. Not even Western Cape is too big. In your community, if you have the real facts about their consumption pattern, you can sell this the information, you make money. Did you see? There are certain people now they are making money based on information data. They collect, they process it and make money. Because you can sell the information to companies. that are selling product or services. Because from that, they can be able to know what people want, need in your community, what they should provide. Do you understand what I mean? Right. Then, forecast. You know what we mean by forecast? How to forecast. Because when you see the pattern, right, you can be able to say, for example, this is exactly how much quantity they're going to need. Right. For example, now if you see the way somebody is spending money, you look at the trend, you can be able to focus at least this person is still likely to spend like this. Right. Based on figure, based on statistics, it's based on fact, evidence based. And you are likely to make a good forecast. Right. Make changes to the proposed product range offer where needed. Because you know what they want, right? You know what they buy. Right. Then let's say you are one of those people that wants to provide them, one of the business that want to provide them. If you have known their needs, their wants, and you discover that it's not already in your product, you can modify it so that you can be able to satisfy them. So where are you getting those information from? From data information. Very important. Do you understand what I mean? When you look at a country that is powerful, right? Militarily, you know what I mean by militarily? Soldier, army, security is intelligence. We call it intelligence. What do we mean by intelligence? It's information. Intelligence. Because in security, they call it military intelligence. It's information. They know what is happening in South Africa. They got CIA, they got spies. Spies. Something that you don't know. Even the president of South Africa don't know about. In South Africa, they know about it. Did you see what I mean? They will tell you they are planning to bomb your country. How do they know? It's intelligent information. You see what is making Iran now to be more powerful. Americans, they are getting worried. Right? One, they got sophisticated intelligence that maybe perhaps Russia and China is supplying them. The America is worried that the way these people are resisting is unusual. They never thought that Iran can resist like this. You see? And the missile, the drone they are using, cheap drones, to destroy 100 million rand Tomahawk missile bomber. All those are planes, they call it Tomahawk. Yeah, Tomahawk. They got terrible names they give those stuff. Right? So you see, because once you are well advanced, or once you are well positioned in gathering intelligence, you are on top. You see what I mean? So how do you gather intelligence? It's research. They ask people, they got spies. CIA, they're gonna come to you, they buy beer for you. Then you think that that guy likes me. Then you're gonna be chatting. Then you open your mouth like a basket mouth, you're gonna be licking. They collect the information, they go away. You see, you don't know. They're gonna process the information. They know what is happening. You see, all those kind of stuff. This one is market research, but theirs is intelligence. They call it intelligence. Right? So, yeah, focus more marketing effort on the product shown to be in demand. So, when you've got data, right, pertaining to your target market, you are able to focus their needs, right? Then you can be able to know where to focus exactly, right? Profile your marketing very well. You know where to focus on. For example, having your data, you discover that most of the needs are from the youth, right? So when you want to market now, you need to know how to look for the things that the youth want. For example, let's say you want to advertise, like I always explain to you. If you want to advertise to the youth, what you do? You use the social media. You understand what I mean? Because you've got the information that most of the stuff are being bought by the youth. So it can help you when you got statistical data, statistical information. Does it make sense to you? It's the same thing with the military intelligence. They know where the crime is coming from. Then they know they will respond. Then you say, hey, these people are very powerful. It's because of intelligence. Because without intelligence, you cannot act. Otherwise, you waste your resources. They know this is where the problem is coming from. They hit the target. Right. How did Israel know that this guy of Iran, Ayatollah, how did they know where they were? Israel is far away, right? How did they know their movement? That this guy is moving, is going to another house. They attack them on the way. It's intelligence. They gather information. Right. Okay. Question. Why should statistical information be presented in the form of a graph chart so that people can be able to make it more clearer? Right. Which is obvious because it will make the information to be much clearer to ensure that it's easy to understand. Right. For example, if I say, how many people like my magunya? Then I say, raise up. If you like it, you raise up your hand. Then I counted. 1, 2, 3, out of 20, right? 15 people like my magunya. Oh man, my magunya is good. That is 75%. That is good stuff, right? Some people, when you tell them 75%, there are certain people that are not mathematically literate. When you say 75%, they don't know what is 75%, right? Now, when you represent it in form of a bar chart, you say, see, this one is yes, it's longer like this. It's right. Then the lower will say no, it's short. Then they can be able to visualize, say this is the understand what I mean? So all those kind of stuff. Instead of using figures, you can depict it graphically. There are certain people they understand more when you represent this in a graphical form. Even somebody that haven't been to school, when they see things in graphical form, they can be able to decode it. They understand that, oh, this one is more than this, right? All those kind of stuff. Then, more interesting to ensure that it is properly utilized and valuable to convince important stakeholders to support the decision. Right. But when you collect your data, and when you've collected your data, you analyze your data, then you present a report, right? If it is survey, present the statistical report, then you put all those bar chart and all those stuff. You see, for the fact that your decision is evidence-based, right? And you can use it to convince somebody. For example, if it is a business that you need someone to invest in the business, or perhaps you need a venture capital, right? You know what I mean by venture capital? There are certain companies called the venture capital companies. They do invest in people's business, right? In other businesses, they invest money, right? So if you've done your research, you got evidence-based information, right? You can use it to convince your investors. For example, I want to start a business, in a new business, right? Now, I've done my research, right? I've got the data and everything. You can use it, or let me put it this way. I can use that one to convince the bank manager or whosoever that is in charge to loan me money because I've got evidence base. These people say they are interested in my product. If I start it, they're gonna buy from me. That one can help to motivate the bank to release money to you because you've got evidence-based faith, right? That they are waiting for you to start the business. They say when you start it, they're gonna support you. You see what I mean? Then once they see the report that you've done it, and they've gone to verify the validity or rather the credibility, let me call it credibility, of that research that is right. Who is that bank manager that will refuse you? Right? If he refuses, the board of directors, they can fire him because this is a good business that they're supposed to put money in. Obviously, they will give it to you because you got evidence based that this business is going to do well. Say, try me, bring the money. Yourself will be talking with confidence. I know them. They told me, say, look at this. They are going to support me, buy from me. Release the money. They will release to you. Right. Likewise, any other investor. For example, if you come to me that you've done a research that you want to start a new business and it's gonna work. I've seen the report of the research that is working, right? You need money. If I've got money, what I will first of all do, I will go and confirm the validity, right? The credibility of that research. If I discover that it's true, I'm gonna put money. You see? So that is what we are trying to say here. Does it make sense to you? Right. So these are tables how to, for example, you see something like this before, right? Provision. You see, you can make senses out of these things. You can use this data for you to be able to make informed decision. Don't you think so? Yes, of course you can. Right. Okay. Look at perhaps some of you where you've seen these things before, but you don't actually think about it deeply. How you can utilize this to make money. Right? You can. For example, here Eastern Cape, they'll tell you the size, right? The population. This is density. What do you mean by density? Density. Density, we are talking about the total number of people in a specific area. We have low density, we have high density, right? Low density is where you don't have, for example, if we say a square kilometer of an area, right? If you have people scattered all around, that is a low density. Right. For example, let me use a hypothetical example. If you have 10,000 people within a square kilometer, all right, of an area, compared to another square kilometer where you have 5,000. So the one with 10,000 is of high density compared to the one of 5,000. We are talking in terms of the total number of people in a specific area. Does it make sense to you? Like Cape Town now have a high density, right? Urban areas, of course, have a higher density than the rural area. I'm coming from Eastern Cape yesterday. I was in Eastern Cape during the weekend, As houses are scattered like this, they're on top of the mountain. When I woke up in the morning, I stood there. First of all, I faced the east, the sun, where the sun is coming out. The sun comes out from the east, right? Then I see there was a shadow on the other side. There was a sun on the other light on the other side. Then I started questioning myself, where is the east now? Where is it coming from? Right. Then I have to use my mentality of geography. That what is blocked, why there was a shade on this side, is coming from this this side where there was a shade. Because of the hill that is casting the shadow. Then I was able to decode it. But later I saw the sun really coming up. I said, hey, my calculation is right. Did you see all those type of stuff? As a student, as a learner, anywhere you go, you open your eyes. There are certain things you're gonna get. Traveling is part of education. I was telling my kids, traveling is part of education. You know a lot of stuff. Right. So when you see something of this nature, Eastern Cape, now you know the population, you know the square meter, the sizes. It can help you as a marketer, to know, to utilize this. It depends on what the context or what you want to provide. You see the population density, right? So you can easily see now that the population of Eastern Cape compared to Free State, Eastern Cape is more. And in terms of the landscape, you see, you can make senses out of this stuff. Okay, let's see. This is what we are trying to see. But let's see what we have here. But you understand what I'm trying to say? Look at Western Cape. The Western Cape, look at the size, is less than Eastern Cape, right? Did you see the population of Western Cape? Look, it's 3 million. Is it 3 million? Yeah. This one, you see, 6 million, right? So all those type of stuff. But let's see. Look at what they said now. Observation, guys. You can make senses out of it. So let's see. In our example, we see that information is summarized, condensed, and can be easily presented, which is good. Guys, let me finish this. Right. Listen. We're gonna finish this. Provinces are listed alphabetically, correct? We have to look very careful to see which province is the biggest and which is the smallest. Right? Okay. For example, now, if you are a business person, you want to market South Africa to an investors in overseas, right? This one can help you to provide them credible data. Then it is difficult to see which province is the third in Captain. Yes, that's listen. Hello, are you here? Okay, sit down quietly, please. Then, Jonga, they say in Gauteng, there are 365 people per square kilometer. Did you see? That is the density, right? Compared to Northern Cape, where there are only two people. Jonga, you see the density of Gauteng is higher than the one for Northern Cape. If you are a marketer now, you want to provide goods and services, you will like to look for where there is a high density. Does it make sense to you? Will you go and sell your product to cows in the bush? Right? You like to sell to human beings, right? That is what we are trying to say. The total population is just over 38 million, as you said. So you see the sizes there. Then it can as well be represented in a bar chart. You see, for people that can visualize, comprehend graphical resolution or graphical presentation, they can be able to understand this much more better. Then you see, information is visual if it is represented graphically, like as I said before. So Gauteng is really small compared to other provinces. Jonga, where is Gauteng here? You show me. You show me. Where is Gauteng here? Yeah, this small one. Right, right. Okay, so the Northern Cape is huge compared to other provinces. So it is difficult to rank most of the other provinces. You see, this is the bar chart, right? So from here, you have the x-axis. This is the x-axis, right? Then this is the y-axis. You show the population. You can as well represent it in a line graph. This is how it is, right? So, yeah, guys,